Hello, hello, hello. I'm KallaTheYapper, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be... My apologies, I'm freaking working with my mic, seeing if everything's good and dandy. But anyway, this is my first ever reaction video, and I'm going to react to this video made by KallaTheYapper? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But basically, his video is about, is it really better though? Which is talking about Genshin versus Wuwa stuff. So I wanted to react to the video. I already watched probably like the first 2-3 minutes of it. Hold up, where were we at? Where was I when I started reacting to it? It was around before he got into his point about the gacha system. So yeah, I'm going to still replay the video from start so I can give out my thoughts that I had related to the things he said. And then, you know, we're just gonna steamroll our way forward with the rest of the content. So, yeah. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, start.
Wuthering Waves is getting compared to Genshin non-stop, and honestly, that makes sense. They share a lot. Wuwa is an open-world gacha RPG which focuses on story and world exploration. Has stamina, gliders, different elements, and yeah, it kinda looks like Genshin cooler cousin. But once you get past the surface, it starts doing a lot of things differently.
That is true. Wuwa does a lot of things differently in a lot of aspects, which I do believe makes the game good.
Look, I'm not saying Wuwa is perfect, far from it, but at least for now, they just need to be better than Genshin.
That is also true. Wuwa needs to be better than Genshin. Obviously, naturally, because it's a competing game. But then, when Ananta and NTE and them other gacha games come out, yeah, we're gonna see how long Wuwa lasts and how long they can keep up this good quality. Because when those games come out the door, they gonna really need to fight, because those gonna be competition worth, you know, fighting against, versus Genshin, a 5-year-old game. But anyway, look at you.
And I'm here to tell you if they already are or not. So first, let's talk about the story. I'm not gonna lie, Genshin has amazing lore, a lot more regions, hidden mysteries, and the world building is top tier. But the way it's delivered, absolute pain sometimes. You've got a 10-minute long conversation with an NPC about cabbage full of random filler. Paimon repeats stuff you already know around 3 times a minute. Traveler is mute 99% of the time, and there's so much fluff between actually interesting moments.
I'm going to already stop the video right here, because this was the first time I disagreed immediately. Because the way he's framing it as if Genshin storytelling has been bad since Jump Street. Yeah, he used the word sometimes, but let me go ahead and break this down for you, right? Sorry if you're echoing, I'm in my room. I don't have no soundproofing walls. But let's start with the first point. He mentions how we interact with NPCs that like have some random thing happening to them, and then it's a bunch of filler that holds no connection to the story. But here's the thing, this is where he's wrong. Because if you actually played any of the quest stories, which he probably did, but he probably doesn't have the attention span necessary to pay attention to it, or he's just uninterested in it when it happens. But you have to move that stuff out of the way so you can look at things clearly. So let me explain. What he just said about the whole cabbage thing, yeah, that's how a quest usually starts, but it starts a chain reaction that gets the traveler involved in whatever is going on. Then the traveler goes out to try to find out what the problem is or what the source of the problem is, which has always been the case. Correct me if I'm wrong. When has there ever been a moment where we interact with an NPC, but it has no type of relevance to the quest that we're playing that the NPC is a part of? I can name a handful of character story quests where the same thing happens. Cloud Retainer story quest, Siege Wing story quest, Varissa's story quest. Can I say Skirk's story quest didn't really start with the NPC. It more so started with the traveler rather than the NPC. So that was like a unique case. What's another character story quest I can think of that I did? Those are ones I can think of within recent time that I've done. But there, you can see the examples I'm giving, right? Even in the main story, right? There's something happen. We're talking with the NPC, and then it leads to a chain reaction of us, diving deeper into what the issue is. That's always been the case for every region we've gone to. To sit here and say that, oh, it's just 10 minutes of filler when it has nothing to do with the main story is honestly, it's a lie. That's not the truth. Which is one of the big issues I have when it comes down to this whole tribalism shit, or saying which game is better, or rather, mainly, I won't say it's the entire Wuwa community, but the bots of the Wuwa community make the game look bad, or rather, they make themselves look bad, which in turn turns people off from even wanting to play their game. Which is no different than how they view Hoyo shills, right? But you get the point I'm making, right? It's like, to say that point is like, it's completely a miss. It's completely incorrect. Now, let's continue.
Meanwhile, Wuwa lore is not
Oh, hold on. There was other points he mentioned too that I didn't get into. My bad. Let me talk about the whole thing with Paimon. Okay, so he mentioned the whole thing about Paimon, like, wait, talking for like 5 minutes, repeating information or whatever crap. Hold on. Actually, let me see if I can rewind. Let me rewind. Have a look, cause I wanna go back to that part.
you already know around
Hold on. Let me go back a little more.
absolute pain sometimes. You've got a 10-minute long conversation with an NPC about cabbage full of random filler. Paimon repeats stuff you already know around 3 times a minute.
Okay, so that whole point about him saying that Paimon repeats information that you already know 3 times a minute, that's also not true. Look, I know someone's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm nitpicking, or I'm being a Hoyo show," but like, I'm being dead ass when I say this. The reason I say this is because I just got done playing the most recent last 2 main Archon quests that happened in Genshin, which was not even just 3, not just 2, the last 3, which was version 5.6, 5.7, and now 5.8. All of them had main Archon quest stuff going on in it, right? Paimon, what I started to notice is that she's repeating information less and less as time went on. And when she does repeat information, it's not she's not repeating it word for word, but she's repeating it, saying it in a different way, or delivering it in a different way. Right? But even then, we're not wasting 5 minutes of her doing that. She's not saying it 3 times just for you to understand that. Now, I understand that he's probably exaggerating this point, right? But at the same time, if we're gonna make these factual comparisons, let's at least keep them truthful and not over exaggerate the point. That's just my opinion. Which reminds me of another content creator I'm going to either make a video about, or I'm going to react to their video disproving their points. But anyway, yeah, Paimon has started repeating information less and less, and on top of that, thanks to the fact that she has a new voice actor now, it's even more enjoyable to hear her speak. I wasn't like a hater of her original voice, but it's just like I get why people were upset about her original voice. But yeah, what was another point he mentioned? Yeah, I think I tackled all 3 points.
Traveler is mute 90.
Okay. The Traveler being mute most of the time, that... Okay, let me touch on that before I continue. That is also a valid criticism to give. I agree. The Traveler being mute for the majority of the game has been an L move on the devs' part, because the Traveler only gets these one-off moments to be able to speak, which is a bad move. And I've even criticized Genshin for this when I played Wuwa, because as I continue to play Wuwa since January till now, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see that the main character is being allowed to speak more, which means half of their scenes are them speaking themselves, and the other half is us clicking their dialogue box for them when they're not speaking, right? And I like that a lot, personally. Granted, I like Zenless Zone Zeros more, because in Zenless Zone Zero, the main characters, both of them, get to speak all the way through, and you click their dialogue boxes for them to keep speaking. So that's what both games should strive for. Characters that speak all the way through.
99% of the time, and there's so much fluff between actually interesting moments.
To say that there's so much fluff between interesting moments, I don't agree with this either. Because it's almost, because like I would love for someone to give an example of this whole thing, because like people love saying this the same way they keep saying that, oh, Genshin has a dialogue bloat, right? They always say this, but like I don't ever see no one give an example of this ever. So I look at this sideways, And to me, this comes off as a more of a subjective point rather than an objective point, right? Give me a second. Sorry, I'm back. But anyway, yeah, I disagree with this whole fluff point. Because it almost implies that, oh, the fluff is just us doing something meaningless that has no relevance to the quest, when most of the time it actually does. Most of the time, more like every time. There's not one quest I can think of where we did something that was completely meaningless and could have been cut. Okay, hold up. I could be no, hold up. If I count the Fortress of Meripede section of Fontaine's Archon quest, where we spent like 3 whole days doing stuff before it went to like a transition of us going through the days automatically without playing through them, now I can argue that that's probably could get cut. But at the same time, we were looking for information related to Taglia in that entire quest, so we needed to play those 3 days.
Meanwhile, Wuwa lore is not as deep. It doesn't have as much or rich of a world, and I still enjoy it more. Why?
And that's a valid take to have. Like, because that's something I've always found kind of off-putting by Wuwa is that and it really sucks actually as a whole. Because like the lore of this game could be awesome, but like I don't feel the impact of it like at all, even though I want to. Like Genshin's lore, I feel the impact because so many people make so much theory videos creating interesting ideas of, oh, what could happen this, oh, what about the timeline of Genshin Impact's world, blah 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 blah, all that cool interesting stuff, right? But for Withering Waves, I don't see any of this type of content, and I think it's also because of the fact that the devs for the game haven't put forth the effort to like make it that way, and on top of that, the community isn't making content like that because the only content they like making is comparison videos. Don't believe me? Go search up any Wuwa video. Most of them are going to be comparison videos, blatantly.
Why? Because the delivery is actually good. The pacing is tight, voice acting is on point, camera angles actually change, animation.
Okay, he's already wrong when he got to this whole camera angle shit. Because this almost implies that anyone who played Genshin apparently has blinders on. Am I supposed to act like I didn't see the camera angle change multiple times? The last 3 main story quests in Genshin, from 5.6 to 5.8 right now, there's been multiple camera angle changes. And they were very dynamic. So I don't understand that point he's making.
Animations are solid, and there's barely any bloat. Even if the story isn't as massive, it's told in a way that makes you want to pay attention. That alone makes a huge difference.
That's true, but at the same time, the same can be applied to Genshin as well. The same can be applied to Zenless as well. The same can be applied to Star Rail as well. Yes, I'm mentioning Star Rail. Right? And it all depends on your attention span. And how the story is told can be interesting depending on how the person feels about it. If the person feels like this is interesting to them and they're like enjoying it, they're enjoying it. Right? Like, what's the problem there? Granted, I'm not saying that he's deeming it as a problem, but like, I'm just pointing out, right? To say that Genshin, or to imply that Genshin storytelling or how they've delivered the story has been super uninteresting the entire time, while Wuwa's has is kind of, I don't know about that one, Chief.
But there is a reason the way both games tell their story is so different. They have a different demographic. Genshin is made towards a younger audience,
I'm gonna let him finish.
so they have to slow down the pace and keep explaining things so that they understand. And there is nothing wrong with that. But there is also nothing wrong in pointing it out.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How does okay? This is something that just confused me because I watched this part already by myself before I did this, start this video up. But like, I just now realized he mentions how Genshin has a demographic meant for children, right? I'm gonna search that up whether or not it's true or not. But anyway, I'm gonna put it in the comment section. But for some weird reason, hold on. Let me actually go. Let me go back. Let me go back. Let me re-listen to that again. Maybe
Audience. So they have to slow down the pace and keep explaining things so that they understand.
keep slowing down the pace so they can understand things. I feel like Genshin's pacing has been not steadfast. No, steadfast feels like the proper word, but like we're not going so fast that we're zooming through it, or we're going too slow that like we're not getting through it. I disagree with this point as well, because it's giving enough time for you to grasp what's going on in the story, and then giving you enough time to like, okay, we're moving from point A, point B, point C, point D, right? And we're moving at a pretty relatively fast pace. Not relatively fast, but like a decent pace. I don't think we're moving like inchworming it. Like we're not taking 3 hours to learn about one concept and then going to the next quest, having to go through another 3 hours to learn about another concept. Like that doesn't happen at all in Genshin for any of the main story stuff. It's usually told to us and then explained to us, and then we get to experience it as the quest goes on throughout the entire Archon quest, right?
And there is nothing wrong with that. But there is also nothing wrong in pointing it out. Visually, I'll give Genshin credit. It still looks really good. That cel-shaded style aged well. But let's be real, Wuthering Waves just looks better. The character models are of a higher quality, textures are sharper, animations are cleaner, effects are flashier, it feels more modern. Also, Wuwa feels mature.
I'm gonna let him say this point before I dismantle this.
It's still anime, but has a more serious tone, sharper lines, and a grittier vibe. And it's just not technical stuff. Genshin style leans towards a super cutesy, almost chibi in some ways. It's designed to appeal to a younger audience, and it works. But if you were 16 when Genshin launched, you're 21 now. People grow up, and they are growing out of Genshin aesthetic.
I'm gonna go ahead and let me go ahead and just bite against this point right here. His whole argument to say that Withering Waves is mature because it looks grittier is a bullshit point. Let me explain. Has anyone here watched Taco P's Original Sin, the anime that came out this year? Legitly, last couple weeks? Well, at the time of me reacting to this video, it's been like 2-3 weeks since episode 6 of that anime. That whole art style it's gritty, but at the same time, you can tell it looks like it was popped out of a children's book. But yet the tone of the story is extremely serious, even with its lighthearted moments. So I don't understand why we're sitting here acting like having a more, I guess, quote unquote, chibi and childish art style somehow makes that less mature. Because because this is one of these things where it's like don't judge the book by its cover, right? Just because it looks cute doesn't mean it is cute. And Genshin has proven that multiple times. For example, Sumeru and Nahida. Yeah, it looks cute, but when we dived into the story, it was pretty dark, pretty sad, and pretty tragic, was it not? Fontaine, especially. So many implications of, illegal trafficking of underage girls happening in the story, and potentially also happening to a playable character in the game, aka Lynette, which was touched upon in the first act of Fontaine's Archon Quest. So, and then the kidnapping of women being dissolved into water, dying is like, I don't know if we can use this whole chibi argument to sit and say Genshin is a baby game Wuwa is a more mature game because it has a grittier look to it and it has sharper lines and all this stuff. I don't know if we can use that argument. The argument doesn't seem valid, my guy. And also, on this point about Wuthering Waves being more mature, bro, Wuthering Waves is really vanilla. It is not this ultra dark story. It has its dark moments, right? That's no different from Genshin. Genshin has its dark moments. Wuthering Waves has its dark moments. But Wuthering Waves is not this ultra, oh my god, it's sad and tragic 24/7. No. Shoot. I'll give you something sad and tragic. Did anybody here play the Amphorius main story chapters that's been happening since 3.0 till now where we at in 3.4? The whole story has been tragic. And the storytelling for it has gotten better and better with each update patch. So what are we talking about here? You want to talk about something that's tragic? That's tragic. Wuthering Waves, we have not gotten to the point in Wuthering Waves where we got niggas dying, dropping like flies left and right. We haven't gotten to the point in the story where the rover has not succeeded in saving the day. Mr. Aura Farmer keeps saving the day all the time. There's no real danger when he saves the day. Now, is there stakes that you can feel? Yeah, absolutely. Like the 2.5 story, there were some stakes in that, right? And it's branching over from 2.5 to 2.6, right? And what's going to happen in 2.6, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see, right? But to try to imply that Wuthering Waves is this dark game meant for an older demographic is just so, bro, what are we talking about? The amount of children who play Genshin are probably the same exact amount of children who play Wuthering Waves. Just because it looks dark doesn't mean it's not meant for children to play. Like Wuthering Waves is not Dead Space. Wuthering Waves is not what's another good thing? Guts or a Game Ka Kill, right? You get the point I'm making. Wuthering Waves is just as lighthearted and vanilla as Genshin Impact is. Only till this they make a moment in the story serious and be like, this is impactful, this is serious. Take it serious.
More serious tones, sharper lines, and a grittier vibe. And it's just not technical stuff. Genshin's style leans towards a super cutesy, almost chibi in some ways. It's designed to appeal to a younger audience, and it works. But if you were 16 when Genshin launched, you're 21 now. People grow up, and they are growing out of Genshin aesthetic.
Oh, let me touch on this point as well. For me, I graduated high school in 2020. I was 18 back in 2020. I'm 23 now. I've been playing Genshin Impact since its launch, and I've not gotten tired of it. Now, someone might say, oh, because you're a Hoyo show, that's why you get tired. Nope, it's just because I enjoy it. Simple as that. Is there a problem enjoying a game with a more simplistic art style versus Wuthering Waves? Because I enjoy both of them. But to sit here and try to act like, oh, the moment you grow up, you start liking things that have more cutesy art styles is by far the most ridiculous point to make, ever. What are we talking about? Come on now. Now, since Genshin Impact was like the main head of the gacha market for the past 5 years, you know, holding that trophy, standing on top of the mountain, yeah, sure. And that art style was the prominent art style until Wuthering Waves came. And then it's like, okay, we got a new flavor to taste. Now, if that's what's being said here, that I can understand. That I get. That is valid. Right? Because you get tired of seeing the same art style over and over. Then you're like, okay, I want to see something new. I want to see something fresh. Like, for example, Togepi's Original Sin. That anime, its art style, completely new to me. I ain't never seen it. And if I did, it may have been some years ago. But like, it's fresh to see among all the anime art styles you see nowadays, right? What another point I was gonna make? Nope, that's it. That's all the points I was gonna make.
Aesthetic.
Okay, so every point from Gacha system to the end of the video, I have not watched. So here we go.
Let's not kid ourselves. Wuwa's gacha system is copy-pasted from Genshin with some slight I'm better than you tweaks. Is it still bad? Absolutely. Do I still hate the fact that the characters and weapons have separate banners? Yes. but Wuwa does just enough to feel better. No 50-50s on weapon banners, lower PT than Genshin, and on top.
Let me touch on that lower pity thing. That lower pity is only down by like 10%. So from 90, so Genshin's is 90, Withering Waves is 80. It's a 10% difference. That doesn't change the fact that you're going to lose that 50-50, bro. I'm telling this to anybody. And I mean this. Bro, I lost the 50-50 trying to pull for not Karthathea, Carlotta on my birthday back in January. Bro. And I was so tilted because I had to swipe my card. I had to swipe $80 just to get Carlotta. So that what 10% difference in hard pity doesn't mean nothing when you still lose that 50-50.
On top of that, they just give you more pulls overall. It's still manipulative, it's still built to make you spend money. It's a gacha after all, we all know what we're getting into. But if I'm being honest, Wuwa feels a lot more tolerable.
Do I agree with that point? Let me see. It's a lot more tolerable. I don't know if I fully agree with the point or I fully disagree with the point. I think I'm more neutral, in my opinion. I think I'm more on a neutral stance. And also, I've been hearing that the amount of free pulls niggas have been getting from each patch has been declining as the months have passed since the anniversary patch to now. So, that free-to-play friendly thing that Withering Wave players love to have, it's starting to become non-existent really fast.
Okay, this is probably the biggest one for me after the story. The combat. I'm not talking about abilities or elemental reactions here. Let's focus on what really matters and what we can compare. The enemies and bosses. In WoWa, even with a stacked team, if you play sloppy, you get punished. You have to dodge, you have to parry, and the bosses actually feel like a threat. In Genshin,
Let me go ahead and touch on that point immediately before he even continues. I've been button mashing my way to victory with every boss I fight. So, yeah, I have to dodge, I have to parry. Granted, I said screw parrying because that whole parry thing, I'm not about to waste my time trying to make a perfect parry. You about to catch this 10 slash to the chest, and we're gonna keep it pushing. That's why I blow everything away with my freaking Karthathea. Like, get out the way, nigga, move. Like, yeah, it's cool that we can jump and like semi stay in the air for a little bit of while long. I think that is cool or whatever. But like for combat, what? Honestly I like Zenless Zone Zero's combat more than Withering Waves. If I'm being freaking honest with y'all. And but this isn't about Zenless Zone Zero. This is about Genshin and Wuwa.
it feels more like a damage check than anything. WoA bosses actually feel like bosses. You have to time things, react, and think. And that's what is fun and actually factually better than Genshin. As for everything,
I don't know about all that. Because both games are working with the systems that they designed. Withering Wave's system is designed for fast-paced combat, which in turn makes you have to legitly keep your eye on the ball when it comes down to when the opponent is attacking. I've had to do that. My bad, I can't speak multiple times. So yeah, but for Genshin's combat isn't fast-paced. This is where the issue comes, where we're trying to compare apples to oranges, right? You're gonna compare a fast-paced a game. My bad. Let me redo this. You're comparing a fast-paced combat game to a slow-paced combat game. One game wants you to keep paying attention to every little thing the boss does, while the other game is like, okay, bring two elements, bring one element, bring a character with a shield, bring a character who's a healer, right? That's essentially what Genshin's combat, at least when you're fighting bosses, that's how it is. Now, do you need to bring a shield? Do you need to bring a character of a certain element type? No, not really. Not all the time. Not for every boss you fight. No. There's bosses you can fight that you don't even need to bring the required element for it, and you'll still wax it. But there's others where it's like, no, you need to perform this elemental reaction. Which, okay, grab a handful of Dendro characters, grab a handful of Pyro characters, get to it, right? So both games are working with the combat systems they designed. So, in my opinion, to say that Withering Waves is better in this case, it's kind of like no, because we're working with two different systems here of combat. If they were both the exact same system, bar for bar, then yeah, the comparison would feel more valid. But this comparison doesn't feel valid at all, because it's again comparing apples to oranges.
Everything else related to combat, it's personal preference. Exploration in Wuwa is a breath of fresh air, even compared to non-gacha AAA games. Every character can double jump, every character can wall run, everyone gets a grappling hook. You can fly and you're not constantly burning stamina just for running. Compare that to Genshin where, how many movement tools are locked behind 5-star characters now? You want to sprint super fast? Locked. Want to fly fast? Locked. Climb faster and more easily? Also locked.
Hold on, let me.
Grappling hook? Pay up. Sure, Genshin added free options like those Natlan dinosaurs, but let's be honest, they suck. I used them twice and immediately went, yeah, I'd rather just pay for a character that does the same thing but better. Though I never did because I quit in 5.0. I actually thought Natlan would flop financially. But now that I think about it, it makes sense they made a lot of money since people were paying up just to make their miserable Natlan exploration experience a little better.
Let me go ahead and push on this point right here, because I disagree with this. Because I made a whole video about it, which you can go check out. I made it not 7 months ago. It's my exploration debunking the dumbest take in Genshin Impact, which is you need to spend money just to explore in the game, which again, it's a bullshit point. Made a whole video about it. Go check it out. I'll even link it. Or as one of my videos of my closing video points or whatever crap that happens at the end of the video, whatever. But let me tackle on this point right here. To sit here and say that the playable character is better than the Saurian is a bit disingenuous. Because the only thing that actually makes the playable characters better than the Saurians is that the playable characters get to have this swap mechanic thing where if you have two playable characters that's like have the ability to get themselves into the air, whether it be like Auroran, Kinich, and Chaska. Let's use those three characters. Those three characters you can swap in and out of while in the air. If you have those three characters, let's say you Kinich, use him to get up into the air. Guess what? You can swap into Auroran, swap back into Chaska, and then just keep swapping between those Auroran and Chaska back and forth until like you reach the other side of the map. That's the only benefit that the playable characters have in comparison to the Saurians. Outside of that, the playable characters are no different from the Saurians, and they operate in the exact same manner. Both characters have both the playable characters and the Saurians have combat abilities that you can use. I know because I've used them. And what's crazy is I've skipped the majority of Natlan's playable characters. I've skipped the majority of them. I didn't pull for Mulani. I didn't pull for Kinich. I didn't pull for Shalonen or Chaska. I did pull for Malvika and Sitlali, both of them, because I saved up so many pulls since version 4.6. So I was guaranteed to win for both of them. Anyway. But like, yeah. And even when I got Malvika, it didn't improve my exploration at all because her exploration ability is like truly half baked. Both while she's inside the region and outside of it. It's meant to be half baked outside the region. But inside her own region, she's half baked. Which makes no sense. But yeah, she doesn't improve exploration at all. Right? So I've used the Saurians the entire time. The Saurians have never given me an issue. You got Saurians planted everywhere. You got the energy refill spots planted everywhere. Any type of consumable you pick up in Natlan legitly has the phlogiston energy in it, which then refills your phlogiston stamina bar, which the Saurians can use for exploration, which means that you get to explore longer without having to worry about that bar burning out because it only has one bar when you get 2 bars. See what I'm saying? It's a great free-to-play option if you don't want to spend money. and it's extremely useful. Every time I have this whole discussion about people talking about the Saurians, to me it just comes off as really bad faith, because it's like, I can tell you probably only used it 1 or 2 times and then call it a day, but you didn't use it over an extended period of time to get used to the mechanic, and then on top of that, boom, you'd be like, okay, shoot, I skipped the playable characters. I don't need them. I got these. These are here for a reason. If these things weren't here and the only thing that was available to make exploration better was the playable characters, then we'd really have an issue. But that's never been the case. For every new region we've gone to that has some type of exploration mechanic, they've always provided a free option for exploration mechanic. Who the fuck is using Farina to walk on water when the Wave Rider exists? The answer is nobody. The whole grapple mechanic that Kinich has, guess what? A Saurian has it. Guess what? The same mechanic has been in Inazuma, in Sumeru, in Shinyu Vale. The list goes on. Right? Go check out my video. I'm telling you. Go check that video out. Come back here. You're going to see the point I'm making. Now, let's continue.
Wuwa just gives you the tools. No grind, no banner, just play the game and it's right there. Now, I'll say this. I like Genshin's artifact system. It's cleaner, it's easier to understand, at least for me, and you can use useless artifacts as fodder. Wuwa's ecosystem, you can't use echoes as fodder, and it was a bit more confusing than Genshin to me at first. But they keep adding quality of life to that system, and it keeps getting better and better. Is it better than Genshin? It's questionable. But here's the thing. You can farm echoes forever. No resin, no daily limits. You want to grind for 10 hours straight? Go for it.
I don't know if that's true about this whole grinding for 10 hours straight getting echoes. I don't know how true that is, because I grinded for echoes before, and I'm pretty sure it costs energy to do that. We have like, no, we have a whole energy bar for that. Not an energy bar, but we have like something equivalent to like Genshin's resin that exists, and it only caps at 400. So I don't know about this whole grinding for 10 hours straight thing. That's if you collected all those extra energy things that's around the map. That's like got the whole square icon with the circle in the middle of it, right? If you collect like a whole bunch of those and then decide, oh, I'm gonna grind the farm, then yeah, probably you probably do it for 10 hours straight. But I don't know about this whole, you can just do it off 10 hours straight off the rip. I don't know about all that. And this is coming from someone who played the game to grind for freaking echoes for my KallaTheYapper.
And you don't have to wait until Thursday to farm a specific book. There's no crafting honest resin, you don't need an event just to crown a character, and Wuwa just lets you click respawn on a boss to fight it again. Which is something Genshin adopted recently too, so credits to them.
Okay, let me talk about the point about the whole, logging in every day to be able to grind for a character. I do agree with that point, because that's been something that's been a gripe of mine for a while, right? Because I got so many characters I want to level up. I want to level up their talents in particular, right? But I can't, because you got to do it on certain days of the week. This function needs to be removed. Like, it was cool back in like when the game first released, right? Because one, it was COVID, niggas were locked in their own homes for days on end. I mean, it's not like you couldn't go outside, but depending on where you lived at, you were locked down entirely, right? So having a certain day of the week that you log into the game and be like, oh, I gotta level up this character, level up that character, right, made sense. Shoot, I made a whole list of characters who need what from what domain on my phone back like 2-3 years ago, back during Inazuma. Made a whole list just so I can keep track of what character wanted what. But at the same time, I stopped as time progressed, or right when we got into like after the latter end of Fontaine, I stopped logging in a lot. Granted, this doesn't mean I skipped out on like main story stuff and whatnot, or even some of the limited time event stuff that had story stuff attached to it. But every time I would finish that stuff, I would just log off, or I would just wait till the thing is about to end and then log back in. But because I did that, I didn't level up my characters as much. I didn't bother leveling them up because I'm locked behind. Oh, I gotta log in certain days of the week to be able to level up a character, which is a pain. And on top of that, the resin cap system not being pushed up to freaking 2,400 like Star Rail and Zenless is another major issue. How can I grind the way I want to grind if the game not letting me grind the way I want to grind? I love having the freedom of grinding in Star Rail and Zenless because I can do it whenever the crap I want to. Right? I'm not locked behind certain days of the week. If I want to fight a world boss that drops a material that I need to level up a character's core passive talents, guess what? Not only can I fight it 3 times for like the three time challenge thing, but also I can burn my own energy to be able to get even more pieces off that boss, which is great. This applies for both Zenless and Star Rail. They allow for this. Genshin does not. It is a problem and it needs to be fixed, which is why I'm slightly hoping that when 6.0 drops, we hear something about, oh, the grinding system has changed. Resin cap has been increased. Because if they don't start 6.0 with a bang, we're going to have a problem.
Now let's talk about the one thing every gacha game eventually struggles with: power creep. This will be a long section because there is a lot of ifs and buts. In Genshin, yeah, it's very obvious. We are talking about huge HP bars on new bosses, constant stat checks, and even movement creep. Now you've got characters who can sprint across water, scale walls super easily, but only if you pull the right banner. Exploring without premium characters generally feels painful.
I already disagree with this point because it's not. Because another point, I should have said this. From this point that he's making, he's implying that every time a character that had a traversal ability came out in the game, years before Natlan's released, was a character that you needed to pull if you want to explore in a good way in any region, which again is not true when you take into account each region had their own unique exploration mechanic that was tied to it that allowed exploration to be easier, which, mind you, some characters just didn't have the ability to do. Just because you have Cloud Retainer does not mean you're going to get on top of a cliff fast enough. It's better to use the Electro Oculi or the Dendrogranum to get up there. Not Electro Oculi, Electrogranum and Dendrogranum. Both of those things can help you get on top of a mountain better. Or a jump pad. Or animal jump pad or whatever. Again, go check out the exploration video I made. You're going to see what I'm talking about.
In some regions. That said, there's one area where Genshin still wins: 4-star characters. A lot of Genshin's best 4 stars came from version 1.0, back when Hoyoverse didn't quite know how to balance them yet, and honestly, that worked out. Bennett is still top tier, Fischl still solid, Xiangling basically a free meta unit if you build her right. At least when I stopped playing.
If he wants to know the answer to if any of these characters are still good to this day, yes, they are. They still are good. Absolutely.
So yeah, power creep in Genshin is real, but if you're not chasing abyss clears or getting new temporary skins, bro, I can't even believe those skins are fucking temporary.
Same. When I found out those skins were temporary, I was like, no way. Because what's even crazier about those skins is that they have important lore related to the 5 sinners. So not only are these skins temporary, but they're lore important skins that have necessary lore. Shoot, one of them skins talked about a character that was like a moon reaver that's chasing after the moon, that's trying to cut it down, which is probably gonna happen in Nightcry. Ain't that crazy? Bro, oh my goodness, don't even get me started. And I'm not gonna lie, I even streamed playing the new endgame mode with a friend. Tried it. I was like, okay, I see the issue here. What's crazy is, I'm gonna say this right now, the real issue about that endgame mode, it is not because it requires you to have certain elements and certain characters. That's not the real issue. The real issue is purely the HP inflation. That's it. If they reduce that HP inflation by like 50% of whatever the HP is right now, reduce it to 50%, and bring out and allow characters, well, not allow, because they allow characters of all element types depending on which boss it is, but like reduce the HP by 50%. You're gonna see less people complain about it and be like, look, I'm clearing it with a cryo 4-star unit, a cryo hydro 4-star unit team. Oh, I'm using freaking Eula to beat this boss who wants cryo and hydro reactions, aka freeze, right? It's not even that's what I mean, right? Those bosses, is nothing wrong with bosses in Genshin being designed around being defeated by certain elemental reactions. There's nothing wrong with that by default. The issue comes when the HP is so freaking high, then it's like, okay, the HP is high, and now it feels like I need to get this character. But that's not the real issue. It's purely the HP. I promise you, it's just the HP. Reduce HP, keep everything else the same, people are gonna load the in-game mode. I promise you.
Right? You can play just fine using 4-star characters. Now let's flip it. Wuwa's power creep is definitely starting to creep in. The latest Wuwa mobs have double the HP, more elemental resistance, and while the average DPS across the roster hasn't skyrocketed, premium teams are clearly pulling ahead. And
That is true. Hold up. Another thing about I need to mention about the power creep that Genshin got going on. I think something we need to note, because I should have expanded upon it. Genshin's power creep only started happening technically a year and a half ago, right? Because like Genshin's quote unquote power creep didn't even happen until almost 5 years later, which, let's be honest, that's very commendable. Because honestly, we could have went down the Star Rail route, where legitly the start of the second year of Genshin Impact could have been massive, crazy amounts of power creep, right? But that's not what happened. New element came out, which then brought other elements up with it. So it brought damn near the entire character roster up with the new element. This was a good thing. It was balanced, right? It's not until the latter end of Fontaine, or rather, since what, version 4.2 of Fontaine, when Farina and Nouvellette came out, where it's like, okay, we've seen a little bit of power creep, but it's not too crazy, right? But then going to Natlan, we had like 1 or 2 moments of like HP inflation spikes, and then Mabuika comes out around the same time, so it's really bad. And then this new in-game mode comes out, and it's got such crazy HP inflation that now you need to be the 1% of the 1% just to even clear that in-game mode, which is crazy. Why is there an in-game mode catered to only whales? That should not how it be. In-game mode should cater to everyone. The only thing that the in-game mode should do is have stipulations upon and what type of teams you should bring to it, or what type of elements you need to bring to it. That's it. Or what type of playstyle you need to bring to it. That's the only stipulations that in-game mode should have. Not massive amount of HP inflation. Whew, man.
And don't even get me started on Filova's weapon situation. Losing a bit of damage when you skip a signature weapon is expected, but in her case you're losing basically half her kit. Her second best weapon doesn't even come close to her signature, and Wuwa's 4 stars might as well not exist. They are not just underwhelming, they are functionally bench warmers. Unless you really enjoy self-imposed difficulty, there's no reason to use most of them.
I do believe this is true. Even though I'm still using some of mine. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm not using 5-star units either. And this is the problem, right? Because Wuthering Waves is going down the Star Rail route, where it's like, oh, over time we're releasing less and less 4 stars, and we're just gonna pumping out back-to-back 5 stars, right? Like, and there's this whole discussion about 4-star units, whether it be like, oh, just rework old 4-star unit kits so they can work with the new characters, and not just release an abundance of 4-star characters. But what they should be doing is simple as this: release new 4-star units at the same time as reworking old 4-star unit kits, so you can have both, right? There's no reason. And because this is what I made about my video about niche team building related to Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact and how they did it, right? The whole negative status effects, there is no reason why negative status effects were not applied to every character in the game that's a playable unit. Because then, guess what? Everyone would have it. Every character would have it. Shoot, if you didn't pull for let's say Shakona, but instead you had Shorekeeper and Verena, guess what? It would have worked because you'd have been throwing all them freaking Spectral Frazzle stacks on her because Zanny needs that stuff. KallaTheYapper, same thing. You get the point. There is no reason why 4-star units or other standard 5-star units or other limited 5-star units don't have access to the negative status effects, and they're only nitpicking and choosing who can have it. This is a problem. Shoot, I'm gonna let him continue until he reaches the end because I have something I want to say about Lunar Charge.
Still, here's the silver lining. Wuwa is not at Genshin levels of power creep yet. Far from it. The 1.05 stars are still top tier, and even Xiang Liao, a character they literally gave out for free, is still sitting in the high ranks. And because Wuwa's endgame challenges mostly don't have time pressure, you don't need massive damage to win, just clean execution.
Doesn't have a time pressure. What? I don't know about all that. The fact that there's even a time limit on how long you have before the time runs out to clear out the game or clear out the in game or whatever one of the towers or whatever, that's time pressure regardless. If they give you 5 minutes to clear that, you can't clear it in 5 minutes. That's time pressure. To me, personally, for in-game modes, they need to increase the time limit. If you're gonna increase HP, then you need to increase the time limit as well. That's my opinion. Because there's no reason why I have to freaking fight a boss within 5 minutes, but that boss has amazing HP. That's ridiculous. But you expect me to beat it in 5 minutes? Like, no. I should be able to chunk down its health bar within an appropriate amount of time. That's not 5 minutes. 15 minutes better be the amount of time I get.
You can outplay content instead of just outstatting it. So, yeah, the power creep is lurking, but at least for now it hasn't taken over the game. The community is being very vocal about it, so Kuro still has time to patch things out.
Saying that Kuro still have time to patch things out, realistically, they're probably not going to do that. But if they do it, they're probably just going to decrease it by a little bit and then go back up, decrease it by a little bit. Which, honestly, this is the better path. Like, if you're going to do this HP inflation, you need to fluctuate that shit. Fluctuate it. That's how it should be. Shoot, instead of increasing HP of the enemy, just increase the damage that the enemy can do. That's way better. Could you imagine getting one slaps by an enemy because they have such increased damage by like 3 rather than their HP being high? Because then now you got to worry about every damn swing because now your eye really is on the ball. Because if you mess up, you're getting packed up.
But only time will tell. So yeah, Wuthering Waves isn't flawless. It's still a gacha, it's still got some clunky systems, and overall lore isn't as deep yet, even if the execution is better. If you're young,
I don't know if about its lore execution being better. I don't think the lore execution for Wuthering Waves is better. I think it's just as straightforward as possible. I think that's what it is. It's not even about it being better or better presented. It's just extremely straightforward. Like, there's no real mystery to be found. That's you gotta dig through and wait probably 2-3 years before the devs are like, here we go, some more breadcrumbs, right? Cause that's the glory about Genshin, Genshin's lore. Genshin's lore has been breadcrumbed since the start of the game up till now, where now we're in such a big amount of lore that we're drowning in it, right? Wuthering Waves, on the other hand, its lore is as straightforward as possible. You get straightforward lore about the rover and what the hell they are, or who the hell they are, like damn near immediately, as you continue playing through the story, right? There's no mystery to be had. Your answers get answered immediately, or rather, your questions get answered immediately. Whereas in Genshin, there was more like, for example, the Traveler. There's still so much mystery about the Traveler, even to this day. For example, nobody for the past 4 going on 5 years knew that the Traveler had a spaceship. It blows the mind. They had a spaceship? That's kind of crazy. Because people assumed that, oh, the traveling twins probably use their wings to flap from planet to planet to planet across the galaxy or the universe. But no, they have a planet. They have a spaceship, which honestly, that makes more sense. Because why would you exhaust yourself flying from planet to planet instead of just using your spaceship and hibernating until you get to the next planet? That's way smarter. Right? It was such a mind-blowing thing. No one knew this. But at the same time, when you look back at the Traveler, you look at their idle animation. Shoot, you even look at when the game updates, before you click, oh, I accept the terms and conditions, if you look at the image that's on there, on that terms of condition, or whatever crap, you see the Traveler, one of the twins, in some type of ship or some type of location where they're looking down at Tevat. And it looks like they're looking down at it from a spaceship. So honestly, the spaceship thing has been breadcrumbed since the beginning, if we're being honest. But I guess no one has realized it since now. I mean, till now, honestly. And then you got people thinking it's a retcon or whatever. But like, yeah. Wuthering Waves lore is more accurate, or not accurate, but just straightforward. There's not real much mystery when it's just tackling that stuff immediately. Honestly, it doesn't feel like there's an overarching plot happening in Wuthering Waves, if I'm being honest. I think that's the drawback of Wuthering Waves story as well. There's no overarching plot that's happening. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone can tell me I'm wrong.
If you're younger, I would still recommend Genshin. It's colorful, it's friendly, it's easy to pick up, and it doesn't punish mistakes too hard. The characters are bright and cutesy, the story is lighter even if it drags, and it's perfect if you just want to explore a fantasy world at your own pace without too much mechanical pressure. But if you're older, or if you've been playing Genshin since launch, you might start feeling like it's holding your hand a little too much. That's where Wuwa comes in. It's faster, more technical, more stylish, and honestly, it expects more from you as a player. The tone is a bit darker.
Again, this whole point about you being older, you being younger, of how you're gonna enjoy Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves is such a dumb point. Because there's a whole bunch of anime that's really cutesy that grown adults sit here and watch. Despite the fact they're grown adults. Why are they watching cutesy stuff instead of gritty stuff? You get the point I'm making? Because I made this point earlier. But again, this is a really bad point entirely. It's a really dumb point to mention. Oh, Genshin Impact has a cutesy art style. Therefore, if you were younger, you'll like it. No, grown adults liked it too. That's why you see so many of them playing it on the internet. Where are the children exactly that you see playing the game? You don't really see them. You see the adults. Niggas in their 20s pushing 30s playing Genshin Impact. This cutesy game. But they're older. Why are they playing that? Clearly because they like it. Just because one thing is pretty, one thing is ugly. Not ugly, that's the wrong word. One thing is pretty, one thing is gritty, does not mean that that's based on your age. Like, it's just a stupid, it's a really dumb and narrow-minded view of any type of content that's either lighthearted or dark. Like, just because, like, for example, I watch a dark fantasy anime where characters are dying left and right does not make me an edgy individual who's all sad and gloomy, who loves only watching serious stuff. No, I love watching cutesy stuff too. Anyway, let's continue.
The world feels more mature, and the gameplay rewards skill instead of just raw stats. If you like Genshin more, that's fine. Some people also prefer the taste of cardboard too. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, like and subscribe if you made it this far, stay smart, and most importantly, stay critical. Have fun, bye bye.
And I'm gonna be honest, the offhanded comment was so unnecessary. But hey, you gotta take shots at people, you know, just cause, right? For the sake of gacha tribalism, because people love this shit, don't they? And then they want to act like they don't contribute to it when they say stuff like that, right? Ain't that wild? But anyway, actually, does he have any more things to say? Actually, let me see. Let me see if he has anything more to say. Okay, never mind. It seems like this is just the rest of the video. But Here's my position. I'm gonna give. If you like Genshin, you like Genshin. If you like Wuthering Waves, you like Wuthering Waves. Now, if you both on either side of the aisle can recognize the flaws and the ups of your games, good for you. If you can't recognize it for either one of your games, then of course you're a shill and a bot. Open your eyes and actually think about it critically. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I see people give criticism to Genshin from top to bottom for just breathing at this point. And then the criticisms have become outlandish to the point where now we're criticizing something that Genshin has done that Wuthering Waves is also doing. For example, God forbid Genshin uses black screen white text a sparing amount of times throughout a story quest. Wuthering Waves does it, not an issue. Genshin changes its camera angle, has characters changing their facial expressions, left, right, and center. It's bad when Genshin does it. When Wuthering Waves does it, it's a good thing. But we act like Genshin didn't do the same thing as well. You get the point I'm making? I can use the last 3 main Archon quests to prove my point even more so. But hey, people want to sit there and act blind to it. Granted, this isn't about Gacha tribalism and dishonest comparisons. I just wanted to react to this video because, hey, I felt like reacting to this video. Honestly, there's another video I might react to or I make a video about. But anyway, we'll see. But the video, it's a good video. I'm not gonna say here and act like it's not a good video. It's just some of the points in this video can be easily disproven. Especially when he admits that he stopped playing the game. Stop playing Genshin. I don't know when he stopped playing Genshin, but he clearly stopped playing it some while ago. Probably a year ago, 2 years ago, who knows? He never states it. Oh, I think a point that I didn't get to make is about power creep and Wuthering Waves, because I don't think he touched on it as much, or in the way that I thought he was going to touch on it. So let me touch on it right here before I end the video. Okay, so power creep and Wuthering Waves, it is happening, but the thing is, the HP inflation isn't, well, it wasn't happening last month, but now it is happening, right? So, in my opinion, the DPS characters in Wuthering Waves are on the same level as each other. Not all of them, but some of them. But because there was a lack of HP inflation, it didn't feel like, oh, DPS characters are being left in the dust, right? But now that HP inflation is happening, we're now going to be able to start seeing who really is the king of DPS in this game. Because that tier list is going to have to change itself sooner or later if this HP keeps going up. Right? Because I already know KallaTheYapper and freaking Zanny at the top of that damn tier list. Let's be freaking honest. It just looks like everyone else on the same level as them because they cleared the same concept because the HP wasn't blowing up high like how it is in Genshin right now. Or how it is in Star Rail right now. Right? But, you know, HP increases. We'll see who's the real damage dealer. Let me see. Is there anything else in his video? Or is this just music video stuff? Nope, just music video stuff. And that's the end of the video. Like and sub to the channel if you want to see me do more reactions. But also, go give this channel or this creator a view. Go check out his channel. Go subscribe to him. He probably has content that you might like, content you might dislike. Who knows? Go check him out. I'll put a link to their channel in the description. And of course, fairly credit them. And also, I'll make a note right here in the video, which is pretty damn obvious that I've done. I have used this video in fair use. I paused a lot to talk a lot. And probably this video is probably about 30 minutes long right now to an hour. Who knows? But hey, we'll see when I post it. Anyway, like, sub, see you later. Peace. And see you in the next reaction. Or in the next video. Or in the next live stream. Peace. And good night. Well, not good night. It's early morning right now. No, it's 12:38 in the afternoon. On a Sunday. All right. Bye.